You've always felt it, that silent distance between you and the rest of the world. You walk into a room and feel like you've entered the wrong play, everyone else reading from a script you never received. Conversations circle the surface, laughter fills the air, but it feels hollow. You nod, you smile, you mimic, but, deep down, something doesn't fit. It's not arrogance, it's not antisocial behavior, it's perception. You see too much, feel too deeply. You don't just observe the world, you analyze it, question it, unravel it. And for that, you've paid a price. People don't say it out loud, but they pull away. You're too serious, too intense, too quiet. They say you think too much, and you do because you have to. It's how your mind works. You see patterns others ignore. You sense dishonesty, even when it's coated in smiles. You speak truths people would rather leave buried. And that truth, it isolates. This is not a flaw. It is not a disorder. It is not something to be corrected. It is the burden of real intelligence. And you are not alone. This is the truth. Arthur Schopenhauer, the 19th century philosopher of pessimism, understood better than most. He didn't romanticize intelligence. He didn't glamorize genius. He exposed it for what it really is, a double-edged sword that cuts through illusion, but often at the cost of connection. This essay is for those who feel that way. If you've ever felt misunderstood, out of place, or emotionally exhausted by a world that seems satisfied with shallow answers read on, this isn't just a reflection. It's recognition. You are not broken. You're simply awake. They say you're too quiet, too intense, too much. You speak, and the room falls silent, not because you're wrong, but because you are different. You see what others don't. You question what others take for granted. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, people begin to drift away. They laugh together at things that bore you. They obsess over trends, gossip, and distractions, while you're lost in thoughts of meaning, mortality, and the deeper currents of existence. You try to blend in. You learn to smile at the right moments. But deep down, you feel like a stranger among your own kind. Eventually, you begin to ask the question that haunts the intelligent. Is something wrong with me? But what if the problem isn't you? What if the world simply isn't designed for people who think this way? The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer believed that true intelligence isolates. The deeper you think, the further you drift from the crowd, because most people don't want truth. They want comfort, and genuine intelligence threatens that comfort. Schopenhauer saw what few dare to admit. Society doesn't hate intelligence. It fears it. It starts early. You sit in a classroom full of kids your age, but something feels off. You're not superior, just disconnected. While others laugh and chatter, you're wondering, why do people lie so casually? Why does small talk feel like static? Why does it feel like I'm observing life instead of living it? This is the silent curse of deep intelligence, not the kind that earns medals or top grades, but the kind that feels too much, questions too deeply, and sees through the veils most people never notice. The kind of mind that can't help but detect hypocrisy, contradiction, and the absurdity of so much human behavior. As you grow older, the gap widens. You stop sharing your thoughts because you've learned the cost. Too many whys make people uncomfortable. Too much honesty ruins the mood. So you nod, you smile, you pretend, and you shrink. People assume you're aloof, arrogant, cold, but in reality, you're simply exhausted from trying to explain a mind that feels like it belongs in a different dimension. You've learned, depth scares people, so you hide yours. Here lies the paradox. Society worships intelligence in theory, but in reality, it shuns the genuinely intelligent. We praise genius from a safe distance, but in everyday life, we isolate the ones who think differently. Why? Because real intelligence doesn't just solve problems. It challenges assumptions, it dismantles illusions, it reveals uncomfortable truths, it makes people feel things they'd rather ignore. You become too complex for surface-level connection, too perceptive to enjoy small joys without analyzing them, too awake to fully relax. And the emotional toll, it's invisible but crushing. You're surrounded by people, but you feel alone. You long not just for someone to hear you, but for someone to understand you. That person rarely arrives. The world teaches intelligent people how to succeed, how to achieve, but never how to exist in a world that feels alien to them. So you adapt. You dumb yourself down. You learn when to stay quiet. Not because you want to, but because you've been punished too many times for speaking the truth. And the weight builds. a quiet sadness, a hunger for authenticity, a persistent question. Am I the only one who feels this way? You're not. Schopenhauer saw your pain 2 centuries ago. He didn't just understand it, he predicted it. There is an unspoken rule that governs society. Don't think too much. Don't question the script. Stay in line. Schopenhauer called this the herd instinct, the tendency of people to surrender independent thought, not out of stupidity. Thinking differently makes you a threat. Ask too many questions, and the group gets defensive. Not because you're wrong, but because you've made them feel something they don't want to feel. Exposed, insecure. This isn't logical, it's psychological. In every school, every office, every dinner table, there's a silent pressure. Conform or be cast out, and by their very nature, truly intelligent people resist this not out of rebellion, but out of curiosity and principle. But in a world that values comfort over truth, this resistance is punished. In the workplace, we say we value innovation, but innovators who speak uncomfortable truths are sidelined. In schools, kids who memorize the textbook are rewarded while the ones who challenge the lesson are labeled disruptive. Even online, algorithms reward simplicity and emotion, not depth or complexity. So what happens? The intelligent learn to hide. They wear masks. They stay quiet. They trade brilliance for safety. Society gets what it wants. Silence, and in that silence, potential withers. This is the ultimate irony. We claim to admire intelligence, but only if it flatters us, only if it fits in a box, only if it doesn't make us feel inadequate. But real intelligence is messy. It doesn't obey trends. It doesn't stroke egos. It confronts them, and that's why society rejects it. To be truly intelligent is to be misunderstood, to be feared, to sit in rooms filled with people nodding to things you know are false and to say nothing, because you've learned the cost of truth. This isn't just rejection, it's social exile. Because once you see through the game, you stop playing it. And when you stop playing, you stop belonging. But Schopenhauer didn't believe this was a tragedy. He believed it was proof. Proof that your mind had awakened. He saw intelligence not as a gift, but as a burden to those who carry it must walk a lonelier path. But a truer one. He wrote, a man can be himself only so long as he is alone, because society entertains but solitude reveals, and those who think deeply eventually crave what society can't offer. Silence, clarity, authenticity. Schopenhauer believed, was not loneliness, it was liberation. To him, great minds are like eagles, they build their nests on high cliffs, far from the noise of the crowd, not out of arrogance, but because they need the silence to see clearly. He didn't promise happiness. He promised honesty. He didn't offer cures, he offered clarity. And sometimes, clarity hurts. Modern psychology now echoes what Schopenhauer intuited centuries ago. A 2016 study found that highly intelligent people report less satisfaction from frequent socializing. Not because they dislike people, but because their minds crave depth, not distraction. Their loneliness isn't a flaw. It's cognitive mismatch, a hunger for resonance. In a world that offers noise, they don't want attention, they want understanding. But understanding is rare, so what do? They shrink. They hide. And sometimes, they're envied. Not for their flaws, but for their clarity. For how they expose the insecurities in others just by being themselves. History is filled with examples. Socrates, Galileo, Tesla, Turing. Their ideas weren't rejected because they were wrong, but because they were too right, too early, and too dangerous to the comfort of the crowd. Even today, intelligence without conformity is punished. In meetings, in classrooms, in relationships, the smarter you are, the more likely your truth will offend someone's illusion. So, what's the answer? Schopenhauer believed it lies in solitude, not as punishment, but as power. Because when you no longer need the world to understand you, you become untouchable. When you stop shrinking your thoughts to fit in, you finally begin to expand. You stop performing, you start being, and in that stillness, you begin to notice what others miss. The beauty in silence. The truth beneath the chaos. The strength in standing alone. If you've ever felt like your thoughts are too heavy, your questions too deep, your presence too intense, you're not broken. You're just more aware. That awareness will cost you, but it will also free you. You're not alone in this. You're not too much. You are just ahead of your time. And in time, others may catch up or they may not. But by then, you will already be free. If this resonated, it means you're not just watching, you're searching for truth, for connection. And that, Schopenhauer would say, is the mark of a noble intellect. not one born of status but of depth, a mind not made for the crowd, but for the cliff. So if society rejects you, let it. It's not your weakness, it's your proof. The world was never made for minds like yours. It was built for simplicity, for comfort, for repetition. And so it rewards those who follow the script, who laugh on cue, nod without question, and never ask why. But you were born with a different blueprint. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to see, and in seeing, to stand apart. This loneliness you carry is not a weakness. It's a sign that your mind resists the noise, the illusion, the shallow demands of conformity. The price of your awareness is isolation, but the reward is clarity. And while clarity may not bring comfort, it brings truth. And truth, Schopenhauer believed, is the highest form of freedom. So if the world calls you too much, let it. If it walks away from you, don't chase it. If your silence makes others uncomfortable, let them sit with it. Because the ones who are misunderstood today are often the ones remembered tomorrow, not because they were accepted, but because they were right. You are not here to fit into the world. You are here to understand it. And in that quiet understanding, you may walk alone, but you will walk in truth. And that is a path few ever dare to take. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.